Hi guys, it's Sam. Today I'm going to be doing a video on my top Hobonichi Weeks supplies. So this would be the things that if I couldn't have anything else, these are the supplies that I use the most frequently, that I find the most useful for my functional planning. So I know that people have different planning styles, and maybe if you've been in the Hobonichi Weeks for several years like I have, you already have your own go-to list. But with so many people exploring the whole Hobonichi planning system, I know that a lot of people are kind of overwhelmed right now. It is October. It's, oh my, I can't believe how fast October is going. So it's currently closing in on the end of October. And so it's the time of year that we really start thinking about what we're using for planning for the next year, what we need to make our planner the most useful it can be. And some people even getting started putting together their planner. Now, I have said before over numerous years in several videos that I do not actually plan in my Hobonichi Weeks before the new year. That's just something that I do. This will be the third full year that I've used the Hobonichi Weeks almost exclusively as my planner. I have strayed a little bit and gone back to a couple of other planning systems that had worked for me in the past, and I've kind of fallen back to those things a couple of times. But every time that has happened, this little planner has brought me back. And so I would say that I have consistently used this planner for 2 years, and then there was some time periods that I used it for a couple of other years, but definitely not. It took me time to get into this planner. But this is the planning system that I am going forward with for 2020. And so I just wanted to share with you guys what things I have narrowed down to be the most useful, the most practical, to get the biggest bang for your buck out of. And so I'm going to share those with you today. These are going to go in like no particular order necessarily. I just kind of went over the things that in my head, and I jotted down some notes about the things that I use the most regularly. This has been the one that has been the most controversial every time I speak about it, but I'm going to defend this pen until they do not make it anymore. This is a Pilot Frixion pen. This is a pen that I have used since the moment that I actually found one. And I used these in my Bible, I used these in my homeschool planner, and I did realize that they were thermosensitive. So for me, I have rules. I have never had the habit of leaving my purse, planner, Bible in a hot car. So I personally have never had issues with the ink disappearing. I have mentioned several times that I have a room that I keep all of my crafty stuff in, all of my past planners. I even have my old homeschool planners in here and little these books I used to write scripture in. This room is not very well heat controlled. It's an addition to the house. It used to be a carport. It gets cold in here, and in the summer it gets very warm. I have never had issues with that. I do know that if you leave your planner in a hot car, you can have issues, but you can put it in the freezer and your ink will come back. The only issue with that is, say you erased a bunch of stuff and then wrote over it, you put it back in the freezer, like all of those different layers will come back. I don't use the Frixion pen because it's erasable. Like, I have had to use it, obviously, and I'm happy for that, but I tried to use it as little as possible for the erasing capabilities that it has, just because I don't want to be put in a situation where I'm going to have all those layers brought back. So if I'm not using a Frixion pen because they erase, then why do I make the Frixion pen like my go-to pen for the Hobonichi Weeks? Let me get to a page that doesn't have a bunch of notes on it, and we'll talk about that. So the reason why this is a top pen for me with the Hobonichi Weeks is because of the way it glides on the paper. Now, I have said all the time that I kind of have an odd grip. It's got a name, I forget what it is at the moment. Sometimes I'm really good about remembering things and sometimes not. Right now it's not so much. So you're supposed to grip a pen kind of like this. I can't write like that. So I have the pen resting here on my middle finger, and my index finger is here, and then my thumb wraps around. I know people have said that I can alter the way that I write with practice, practice, practice. I don't care. If I try to write the right way, I don't like my handwriting at all. I have no problems with the way I write. I don't think that my handwriting is horrible. It's comfortable for me to write this way. I'm 41 years old and I have zero care about changing. So when I write with this pen, I just like the way that it glides on the paper. Maybe I should take us to a blank note page so that I don't have to worry about writing on something. Okay, so I just like the way it glides on the paper. A lot of people like pens that are finer tipped than this, but I just like just the way that the balance of a 0.7 feels. But if you don't like that, you are in luck, because there are Frixion multi-pens that have 0.5, they have 0.4. There are Frixion pens that have itty bitty points to them. I think they go down to a 0.3. So if you don't like a 0.7, there are lots of different options for you. For me personally, 0.7 for writing is my sweet spot. And then I usually carry around one of these multi-pens or another one to use with another tool that I'm going to mention in the video later. But back to the Frixion pen, it writes well on not just Tomoe River paper, but not every week, but often, I like to use little stickers. These are my favorite stickers. I got these from Avalon and Ninth, I believe, and I just found them at Nicole Hutch Designs, and they're a little bit different, but I'm gonna try these and see how I like them. But I would use a fountain pen because I love fountain pens on this paper, but then I don't think that fountain pens work as well on the stickers. And you can disagree with that, but that's just my personal preference. So for me, it's great to have one pen that I know is going to work great on this paper and is going to work great on other papers. Now, if it's a vinyl sticker, it's not going to work on that, but I hate vinyl stickers because I don't want to carry around a whole bunch of different pens to use on different mediums. So I'm going to just put TRP and stickers, because that's my reasons why. Yeah, so the other thing is, and a lot of people disagree with me on this, and that's fine, this is my personal opinion. I have over the years, because I have used Frixion pens for at least 11 years. I now have gotten used to the fact that these pens do not produce as bold of a line as other pens. So for me, since I'm a gel pen user exclusively, if I have a gel pen and it puts down regular black ink, that just feels too bold now to my eyes because I am used to the Frixion pen. Some people don't like that about it, and you're free to not like that, but that's one of the reasons why I like it. It doesn't look too bold. Okay, so now the next thing that is a top must-have supply for Hobonichi Weeks is washi tape. I do not like to use sticker kits. I used a couple this year trying it out, and they make the page so incredibly thick. I think that it's cute. And I didn't like hate the way that this looked, but this makes the page so thick, as opposed to using washi tape. Like, I can barely feel that. But when I used a sticker kit, like, I don't know if there's any audio there for you, but there's a large ridge, and it thickened. Those couple of weeks that I tried it, it thickened that area a lot. And I personally, I just don't like that. So washi tape gives me the decoration that I desire in my planner because I don't have like a huge, massive washi tape collection, but because I've culled it over the years, my tastes have changed. When I no longer like the style of something, I sell it, purge it, give it away to a friend, let my kids use it on arts and crafts. So I keep my collection culled. I do have enough to choose from, seasonally appropriate and things like that. But for me, that is just enough decoration. Some washies, depending on the kind of washi that you're using, can then become further decoration, like a sticker like this one. And I love that you can get so many variations. I'm just gonna pull a couple out. I have mine kind of separated by kind or holidays. So you can see that you have thicker ones. I love these nature ones. I love mushrooms so much. So I have some mushrooms and some plants. I have some of my favorites are the ones that Allie Brown has designed and sold. I use these all the time. I hope she makes some new ones in the future, near future, no pressure or anything, Allie. But it's just something that I enjoy. Washi tape is inexpensive. If you don't want to commit to a roll, you can find a lot of different designs on Etsy, and they will sell you a sample instead of committing to that big roll of washi tape. I generally just get a roll because that's what I like. I like to be able to tear some off and send to friends, blah, blah, blah. The next one, tiny stickers. And I don't use these as regularly as I do the other two items, but I do use them. And so the ones that I use most frequently are the period trackers that I have gotten from Carolina's Crafts. I just like it because I don't track my cycle through the week because I want to be able to see that quick overview. And so I put it on the monthly boxes. And if you know anything about the Hobonichi weeks, it's that these little boxes are little. See, if you have Once More with Love stickers, it takes up a lot of the box. And so these little tiny functional stickers are the ones that I prefer to use. It's like the size of your debit card. So it's easy to tuck into places. It doesn't take up a lot of room. You can carry many of them with you, and they're not expensive because of their, little profile. I will leave her shop link in my notes for this video, along with everything else, but I really like those. Another thing that I really don't know what I would do without it is the large size Ollie clip. Let me come back over here. That was this week. So, oh gosh, I know I threw it off. Okay. So with the Ollie clip, they are pretty strong, and I have a couple of different sizes. The large is my favorite. And so I just keep clipped together the month and the current week so that if I need to reference something that is happening, it's really easy for me to do so. You can get by with that with the small, but as I found out before, as you get to the very end of the year, the magnet starts losing some of its strength, and how the Ollie clip doesn't move around very easily. With this, it does with the small one. Let me see. Here we are. And I do use other clips, like I use the little from the Woolly planner. And I'm currently tracking who wins which seasons of Survivor that my husband and I are back, watching back from the beginning. And so I usually keep one of those clipped to that page so that I can reference it really quickly because we're binge watching and getting through the episodes really quickly. But sometimes I just don't want extra clips. And so the Ollie clip is the one that's always in here. And then frequently a little clip like this. But if you can see the difference, I have to put a lot of pressure to get this one to move, and this one not so much. It just doesn't hold as tightly. It feels more secure to me. Yeah, it kind of gets in the way a little bit, but if I'm If I'm at the beginning of the week, I'll move it down here. If I'm down at this part of the week, I'll move it here. It lives here the most, but I just find that so very convenient. The next thing that I find a must-have are little stickers like this. Now, I used some, they were called Stickabilities. I found them at Hobby Lobby, and they were sold January to June and then July to December, and they were bigger than this. I used that last year. I did a video of it. I don't know that they're selling them the same way that I bought them at Hobby Lobby, and those split between the two sections of the year like that anymore. I did find them on Amazon, and I'll leave you a link to that. They were a lot more expensive than I paid for them at Hobby Lobby, however, but they do have them one for the whole year now, which they didn't before when I bought them. I'm gonna go back to it next year because it just takes up more of this space than these that I got from the Happy Planner. And so I did order that on Amazon for the more expensive price because I'm impatient, and it was 1-day shipping instead of I have no idea how long from Hobby Lobby, but they are sold on hobbylobby.com. I will get you a link for that as well if I don't forget. If I do and you go looking for it, remind me and I'll add it. So these monthly stickers I just like because I don't read Japanese, and I just like having it a little bit more bold and obvious what month I am in so that I don't make planning mistakes. The next thing that is a must-have for me, which I don't want to have anybody feel pressured about this, I love my Hobonichi Weeks in a cover. However, you don't have to have it in a cover. Some of the covers have a more fabric feel to them, and I definitely would suggest putting those in a cover because they can get stained, and that would make me really sad. But Hobonichi does make their own clear cover-on covers. So this was my 2018, obviously, cover choice, the little hedgehogs, which I loved him. This is kind of a coated, protected something cover, and I have felt completely fine not putting this in a cover. With this one, it's like a tie, like a necktie material, and I was terrified of getting this stained or dirty, so I had always used mine with the clear cover on cover. Now this particular one, I used that hack where you can use the closure. It's not my favorite, but it does what it needs to do. My pen loop for this year broke, and so I put some washi tape here so I could continue using it. But you can use the clear cover on cover. If you want it to be able to be closed, you can do this little hack with the Velcro, which does work. It just, I don't know, the sound wasn't pleasing to me. There are closures that you can buy for your Hobonichi Weeks to keep it closed if you just want to keep it like this, or if you don't want to use this hack to keep it closed. You might not feel the need to have it with a closure, but there are so many options available to you. There are leather companies that sell beautiful leather covers like this. Obviously, my preference is Chic Sparrow. No shade on people who otherwise make these. I know that there are a lot of makers that do a lot of beautiful work, and I have used and enjoyed other makers as well, but I have just found like my sweet spot with Chic Sparrow. And I think that the price point is good if you want to have a collection, which some of us do. And there's so many different leathers that you can choose from if you want one that's, you know, more structured. Obviously, this is a Waypoint, and this one has like zero structure. I love the way it hugs. You can find covers that don't have any kind of elastic and are just a folio style. I kind of go back and forth. I had really, for a long time, wanted Jennifer Harvey to make one that did have that option so that you could use it as a folio, but sometimes I like to use my Hobonichi Weeks as my planner / wallet. And so in those times, I'm really glad that she has that little thing, because I use these wallet inserts from Keely Reichman, and now I have everything all in one, and I can just run out of the house without even a purse and have what I need. So there are just so many out there, and you don't have to spend a huge amount of money. And if you go with something that's your favorite color or your favorite neutral, then you really do only need one. But there are a lot of different price points. People have found some pretty inexpensive ones at like Staples that aren't made for Hobonichi weeks, don't fit perfectly, but they get the job done, and they're a cover. I like something that's a little more fitted. I like something that has been designed for this book, and so this is my sweet spot, and that's why I buy more because I like collections of things. I had a phone call. I don't remember where my rant was. When you order your Hobonichi weeks, it's not a huge investment as opposed to other brands that I won't mention that have really high prices for their planner, but it does cost a lot when you factor in shipping from Japan, if that's the way you choose to go. But it's only a couple of dollars to tack on one of these, so if you're on a budget, then I definitely suggest this because it comes with a pen loop, it has some storage capabilities within it, and they're just perfect for the Hobonichi weeks because it was made by Hobonichi. You can find them on jet pens. They are a little more expensive, but you get them really quickly and you have free shipping. By the time you put your Hobonichi weeks in one of these clear covers in your cart, you have met the $25 minimum shipping for free shipping. And jet pens, like the reason why they named jet pens, it ships really fast. It gets to you really fast. It's one of my favorite places to buy pens. Anywho's, we're down to two. The one thing that maybe you wouldn't want as one of your must-have for Hobonichi weeks, but is definitely mine, is, oh, where did I put it? My weather stencil? Oh gosh, it's in the back here. Okay, so obviously the way Hobonichi weeks is set up, you have some sections here where you can make a grid here, and then, you know, I don't know, you can just do what you want. But I have, ever since I started using the Hobonichi weeks, in my mind mentally, this is for weather. That's just what I prefer, that's just what I do. And so I use these stencils, and these are made from journalthisnow.com. They do have a smaller one that is made specifically for Hobonichi weeks, and it also can be like a page holder because it does extend past the page a little bit, and the stencil is smaller, but I like the way it looks to have the full box filled up with the weather. That's just a personal preference, but they do have a little bit of a smaller one that's designed for the Hobonichi weeks. This one's just my favorite, and they're flexible. I've never had an issue with the quality. This one's kind of beat up looking because I often get my pen in there. So when I am using my Frixion pen, I'll use the smaller 0.5 or lower. And then oftentimes I'll use like my Tombow mono drawing pen, and I can do as little as the 0.1 in that. I can't write comfortably, and sometimes I even struggle with the numbers if I'm putting in the weather, but this is not Frixion pen here. So I often go back and forth between using Frixion and the Tombow for my weather, because I use the Tombow in my journal for the date, and so I always have it with me, so I don't feel like it's something extra. Anyway, this is just something that has stayed with me since using the Hobonichi weeks, and I will continue using. And then the last thing would be a highlighter. I don't always use one, but when I do, I have two that are preferences of mine. I always go for this gray mild liner, and it's just really, it's not too bold, which again, I like, because I don't necessarily want my highlighting to be like flashy, but it has just a nice, it's bold enough that you notice it, but it's not too bold that like screams on the paper. This is not my favorite color of the Frixion highlighter. This is just the one that I found the fastest. There are two different versions. There are the like really bold fluorescent colors, of these, and then there's these pastel versions that are, I think they're called, soft is in the name somewhere, Frixion, though this one says light. I think it depends. This is the Japanese version. I think the English version says soft and the Japanese version says light. Not hating on the US or anything, but if you have a choice between going out and getting Frixion pens at like Office Depot or Staples or Walmart or Target, or ordering them on JetPens and getting the Japanese version, I prefer the Japanese version much more than the US. Don't ask me to tell you all of the details because it's gonna sound crazy, but I'm just telling you, if you can order them from JetPens or Tokyo Pen Shop, those are the two places that I get my Frixion pens, and I prefer hands down those. You can also get refills of the Japanese version of the ink, and that's what I like to do. I find my favorite Frixion pen, I get refills for them, and I use the Japanese version. I think that's everything. Frixion Pen, Washi Tape, tiny stickers, Ollie clip, the monthly stickers, a cover of some sort, my weather stencil, and a highlighter of some form. Of course, I use other tools. These are just the things that I find the most useful. So if you're on a budget, or if you don't want to get overwhelmed with a whole bunch of different things to buy, then these were the ones that I really say invest in these. Evaluate how you're going to use your Hobonichi Weeks as a planner. You may say that none of these are the things that you want, and you want to decorate yours all with stickers and use kits, and you know, you have a favorite pen that's going to work in that instance. Then maybe ignore everything that's my top tools. But for me, being a not short time user, I won't use the word long term because 3 years doesn't seem long term to me. But as a person who has loved and used this planning system, these are the things that I personally find the most useful in my day-to-day planning, and that I just go back for time and time again. I hope if you are a newbie to Hobonichi that this video has been helpful for you, or maybe you are a longer term user of the Hobonichi system, but you started out with sticker kits, realized how much they bulked your planner up, and still want to use this powerhouse of a planner, but you want to do it in a different way. I hope that this helped you figure out some things that you could use to make this planning year for 2020 better than you've had in the past. I plan to do several more videos that are Hobonichi related over the next couple of weeks. I'm getting ready to start my vacation from work. Yeah. So I have videos planned to come your way in the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much, as always, for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will answer them the best that I can, as quickly as I can. Bye, guys.